welcome to Journey with the Jays. Tonight, joined by Jake, John, Alex, and myself. We're going to start off with the NFL. Championship Sunday, two great games. Tampa going up to Green Bay, Buffalo going down to KC. Alex, what do we got going on this weekend?
Bro, it's a smorgasbord of sports. As far as Green Bay and Tampa is concerned, Zoom meetings and discussions will start Wednesday morning. Buffalo and Kansas City, that's going to be a tough matchup. They have the night game. They got the primetime views. Tampa Bay is at a disadvantage. Yes, Tampa Bay won the Week 6 meeting, but that meant nothing because, one, that was in the regular season. Two, this is the playoffs. Three, that was in Florida. Four, there wasn't snow. Tampa Bay is at a disadvantage because I believe that Ronald Jones might still be suffering a quad injury. And Devontae Adams is just a monster. I have faith in Colton Davis, but now that I know that Michael Thomas was injured during this whole season, it makes me think a little bit different on how he's going to be able to cover Mr. Adams. As far as Kansas City and Buffalo is concerned, I know about the Patrick Mahomes coverage. You know, you could get some catch-up for that if you're interested. I expect him to play on Sunday in clear concussion protocol. I worry more about the Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia. By the way, shout out to Bills Mafia and team and fans for donating to Lamar Jackson's charity. Other than that, gentlemen, take it away.
So, John, let's start with you. So, what were your overall thoughts of last weekend's games, and what do you think coming up this weekend?
Well, I wasn't. I guess we'll start with the Bucs. I wasn't impressed with the Bucs offensively. Defensively, they looked really good, but I think that was more about Drew Brees just kind of looking like Peyton Manning in Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl he won against Carolina. You know, we watch him deteriorate right before our eyes, and that's exactly what happened to Drew Brees this past weekend. So. The Bucs to me really haven't proved anything because they went to Washington and Taylor Heineke put up a lot of numbers on that team on a really good defense. So we really don't know what the Bucs defense is because Drew Brees really made them look better than they are, and Taylor Heineke kind of lit them up. So we really don't know about the Bucs. And Aaron Rodgers, right now is better than Taylor Heineke. He's better than Drew Brees, who's fallen apart. So they're going to have to deal with him. And then, as Alex mentioned, Devontae Adams' footwork right now is just absolutely disgusting. If you watch that man's footwork and he runs routes, it's insane. And they don't put Sean Murphy Bunting on that man, any other corner is going to get wiped off the face of the earth. I don't care how good they are right now. I think Bunting's the only one that really can keep up with Adams. But then again, who can keep up with Devontae Adams? So that one's going to be interesting. But with it being in Green Bay, I think Green Bay is just a better team. They're just more well balanced. They got the run game, which I think is a better run game. Aaron Rodgers, to me, at his point, is better than Tom Brady at his point because Brady didn't even play a great game. It was the defense that really carried him to that. So as far as that, I think Green Bay is a better team. They're better in all three phases. So that I have to go with Green Bay there.
What about you, Jake?
I'm with you on that, and it's not so much what John said is he doesn't know what Tampa's defense is. I don't really agree with that because you can say that, but you look what happened last week, and I know you can say it's part of what Drew Brees did, and I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, you don't get 4 turnovers by being bad. I'm not saying that it's all on the defense or all on Drew Brees. It's definitely a combination because I know Drew still made some poor decisions, but nonetheless, you don't have a fumble and 3 interceptions by being a bad defense.
He attempted zero passes over 20 yards. That makes the defense able to sit on their short routes.
But
they don't have to respect over the top.
Let's go before we bag Drew Brees for this. Let's think about Michael Thomas's year, how he shrunk from the receiver he was previously last year to how he was this year. We can't put all that on Drew Brees. So there's something going on with that offense. It wasn't clicking like it was last year. It wasn't that well-oiled. What happened, Jake?
Michael Thomas was hurt basically the entire season, and he admitted to it. He was hurt the entire. He was just playing through injury, really, the whole season. I mean, and I'm
using
an excuse. Like, that's, what?
He was costing his team then. Okay,
no, I agree. I'm just saying, like, to blame the offense on Drew Brees would not be fair. Like that's what I'm getting at. Is a lot of people are going to say Drew Brees was bad. It's all his fault.
My apologies, Mr. Malik. I apologize. This is why it would be fair. Drew couldn't push the ball down the field. His longest reception, his last 6 weeks, has been 30 yards. He's lost his arm strength. He had a noodle arm. The 56-yard bomb to Traquan Smith was thrown by Jameis Winston. Okay? Drew Brees was there by stature, name, and respect alone.
Boy. Man, I got a point, but nobody's gonna like it once you're done, Alex. Oh man,
I'm just gonna wait and just respond to all three of you that because we're all counting out Tom Brady at this point. You know, none of us are.
I'm not. You've asked them. You didn't ask me. I love the hate. I love the disrespect. I actually admire the fact that nobody gives the Tampa Bay Bucks much of a chance in this game. Tom Brady's played in snow. Rob Gronkowski's played in snow. Mike Evans isn't a stranger of snow. He hasn't played in a while, but he's not a stranger. Cameron Brate went to Harvard, played against Dartmouth in a snow game. He's used to snow. Vita Vey, which they got back off of IR after an ankle break, not complete. It was a green stick, but it was still bad. He's going to suit up, and he might play this Sunday. He played at U of W, University of Washington. He's the reason why last year Tampa Bay had the #1 rush defense. He's used to snow. Brady let the team know that this is more mental than physical. Yeah, it's going to bite. Yes, it's going to hurt. But if people see that it's going to affect you, they're going to use it to their advantage. Look for this Florida team to be mentally tough and deliver a knockout blow early against these Green Bay Packers.
I gotta say, Alex is dead on with the analysis of why Tampa has a shot in this game. Go back to what we said about Green Bay, you know, all year until, you know, last week. They didn't really beat anybody all year. You know, all the time they had a tough game, they lost. Now they're not playing, you know, the 1990s, the early 2000 Tampa Bay Bucks that couldn't win in the cold. They brought in Tom Brady, who played in New England every January. January's Brady month. We have Mr. October. We might as well call Brady Mr. January. I mean, tell me in January we haven't seen him all month. It's tiring, but you can't count him out. You know? Yeah, Rodgers may be the better quarterback right now, but who consistently in January gets his team there? And you're not talking about the same old Bucks. I think this is going to be a competitive game, and I can see Tampa coming out with a win. You know, the other game's going to be interesting because it really all comes down to, is Mahomes going to be clearing the protocol? Now, if he clears protocol, Buffalo's defense played phenomenal last week. Can they do it against Kansas City, which their offense is a juggernaut? You know, I'm kind of rooting for Buffalo because I think that would just be a great Super Bowl, whoever they play. Their team has kind of enamored me. I've got to see them a few times, and you know, we've obviously all seen Kansas City. They play how many primetime games because everyone wants to see Mahomes and, you know, the fireworks that they run. But the Buffalo team's exciting to watch. Josh Allen has done a great job. I'm telling you, invest in a running back. They're going to be a team. They're going to be up there every year. What do you think about that game, Jake?
The one thing, there's two things I'm really worried about in this game. First of all, even if Patrick Mahomes plays, what's he going to be like? Because he's going through the protocol, and the truth is the NFL is not going to let him not play. They're going to let him play, almost guaranteed. He's their superstar. He's their big name. They need him to play. There is no question about that. And I'm not saying that they're going to jeopardize his health, like if it's really serious, but if it's kind of 50-50, kind of questionable, he could play, but it might be a little bit, it's a little worrying if he plays, they'll let him play. If it's like he absolutely cannot play, they won't force him out there. But if there is a chance, I think we can all agree Mahomes isn't going to play. They're going to put their best out there because that's what people want to see. People are going to tune into that game to see Mahomes. Mahomes is not playing. I think the NFL and everybody knows that game becomes a lot less exciting because it goes from Josh Allen versus Mahomes, two great young quarterbacks, to Mahomes versus a no-name backup base. To most people, it's Josh Allen versus a no-name backup. People don't care about that.
Yeah.
Right, but a lot of people don't know who that is. We know who that is, but to most average fans, they're like, "Who the heck is this guy?" So for me, that's why I say that if Mahomes plays or can play, he will play. But that's the first thing that kind of concerns me. The second thing is kind of what JB just mentioned, which is the fact that the Bills do not really have a run game. I mean, there's basically nothing. Zach Moss went down 2 games ago now, and I guess they have Singletary, but he's not a bell cow back. And I'm not saying that we can sit here and say the Chiefs have that, because Hilaire is not a bell cow back either. However, they have him and they can use him, and they have other guys they can supplement in that spot, at a third down or change of pace back if they need. They have other guys they can bring in at the very least. And that's the one advantage that the Chiefs, in terms of just the running back position, has. Obviously, they have the backs. So if Mahomes is playing, I think I got to go with the Chiefs. I just think they're a better team, and I know Mahomes won't be 100%, but I truly think that even like a 75, 65, even 75, 65% Mahomes is almost better than basically every other quarterback in this league still, because he's just that incredible. He's that he's that superior talented to other players, and it's not a knock on other players. Mahomes is just that special. He has the ability to make plays out of nothing, and it's not that other quarterbacks can't do that. Again, it's just he has something special about him that he's just amazing. If Mahomes doesn't play, it's Bills without a question, because then you look at the quarterback matchup. There's no way I could choose a backup of anybody against Mahomes, let alone was Chad Henne. Is that who's going to be starting, right? So obviously in that matchup. So it really depends on if Mahomes plays. I think Mahomes will play. I think it'll be a close game because Mahomes is going to be not 100%. And I think Josh Allen is a great quarterback, and he's going to keep this game close. I just think ultimately that lack of a run game is going to inevitably hurt the Bills. And obviously Mahomes, even if he's not 100%, he's still an incredible quarterback, and he's going to keep his team in it. And I think it's going to be very close. If the Bills win, I will not be surprised. But if Mahomes is playing, I still roll with the Chiefs. If he doesn't play, Bills, no question about it. Not even a competition.
JB, please, let me go. Let me. Okay.
All
right. Mr. Malik, I'm a guest on your show, so I'm going to say this as respectfully as possible. You couldn't be more wrong on this. Look, Kansas City has won all of their recent games by 6 points or less. Carolina gave them a fight. Tampa Bay clawed back in. The Chargers beat them, and it was close against Vegas both times. What you fail to realize is that you can't throw on the Buffalo Bills. They want that smoke, and they have the secondary to do it. What you also fail to realize is that just because they lost Zach Moss doesn't mean they lost the running game. The way Brian Daboll uses the offense, he plays chess, not checkers. And he hasn't been aggressive much this season, but when he has, you've seen blowouts, like against, I don't know, Denver or the Patriots or those poor Dolphins. Bro, listen up. Devin Singletary. All he needs to do is get about 50 to 60 yards on Sunday. They have T.J. Yeldon. They just signed Devontae Freeman off of the practice squad. They have a running game, number one. Number two, the Kansas City Chiefs don't have enough corners, bro. I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. The Chiefs don't have one person that can cover Stephon Diggs. Hopefully we don't have to address or talk about this again. Cole Beasley, slot. Most receptions he's had in his career, 1,000-yard receiver. Gabriel Davis, he's a star in the making. UCF alum. I got to see him. He's local. He's nice. He will burn you. He about that. John Brown just came back from COVID and injury issues. Okay. Oh, and by the way, nice and quietly, they took Kenny Stills out of that mess known as Houston, and he knows the playbook. expect him to steal a touchdown on Sunday. Yeah, that's right. Paging Kenning stills. Bro, Josh Allen is completing 75% of his passes. He's going to have to mess around and throw for 500 yards to get these haters to quit downgrading him. You got two old cats in the NFC between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Okay, fine. And in the AFC, you got a guy who's got a cereal box that you have to buy 8 of so you can get the back of his face and his jersey. Okay, fine. Buffalo wanted this rematch, number one. 2, Buffalo's not scared of Patrick Mahomes because when they did play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, Mahomes didn't go off. It was the running game that sufficed. Look for Tremaine Edwards and Edmonds and maybe a safety to cover Linus, a.k.a. Travis Kelce, the cheetah, Tre'Davious White. I don't care if he's going to get 1 or if he's going to get 2 because with Brian Daboll's offense, expect some points to be scored. Oh, and my last thing, well, I give it back to you guys. Who got Diggs?
Seems the Chiefs did last time they played, right?
Diggs scored a touchdown against the Chiefs. No, they didn't.
Nah, but the Chiefs won, correct? In Buffalo. Okay, all right. They ran for over 200 yards, I believe, as a team. So
you have to go with John.
The fact that they had Clyde Edwards-Helaire as well.
If they utilize Le'Veon Bell like they should, then I think that that's a tough matchup for the Bills. Le'Veon Bell's still a good running back. They just for some reason don't use him.
Go on the Wayback Machine. Le'Veon Bell, he needs to go sit out and try and get more money. Well, maybe it would help if he played football. No, let's go to the Jets because that's helped anybody's career. When was the last time going to the Jets was a good idea?
John, I agree with what you said at first, but then you started with the Le'Veon Bell junk, and dude, I'm sorry, he's washed up as
talented running back.
Yes. Whoever just said that, thank you.
Baltimore was supposed to run all over the Bills. Yeah, how did that go down?
How'd that happen? The Bills are playing on a mission. They may not get this game because Kansas City is a really good team, but in the progression of things with the moves they're making, they're going to be a force for years to come, and it's going to be them in Kansas City if they can keep their roster somewhat similar.
I expect to see my friend Mookie Hawkins in Tampa in 2 weeks. That's how confident I am in the Buffalo Bills.
It would not shock me for a second.
He's welcome to watch the Chiefs and Packers, in Tampa if he wants to go there. He's welcome to watch those two teams.
Let's think about how Buffalo has gone through the season. How when they face adversity, they've done nothing but show up and win. Game against the Rams, they got up big, scored a bunch of points, which that offense wasn't known before this year as a team that was going to score a lot of points. Gave up that whole lead to Goff and the Rams that, in Buffalo. They all thought they were going to lose that game. Before you know it, Buffalo, the defense stepped up when it needed to at the end. The offense scored some points, and they ended up winning. Against Miami last week of the year. How many points did they put up, John?
I'm just curious how many points they put up against the Ravens. Oh, that's 17. Right. 10. No, 7 of that was a pick 6. So 10.
So they still would have won the game.
They put up 10 points. If you put up 10 points against the Chiefs, good luck winning.
So we're gonna compare the Ravens and Chiefs defenses.
I'm just saying. If we're going to talk about how many points they've recently scored, let's talk about their most recent game, right?
Let's talk about the Dodgers and the Orioles. There are 2 teams in baseball that are alike. Definitely.
We're talking about the most recent score, and I brought the most recent score, and now you're bypassing.
Okay, well, if that's the argument that you're going to use, I'm going to use it against you. Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes scored 19 points against Cleveland in the first half, and then in the second half, they scored 3. Do you really think 3 points is going to be good enough in the half to stop the Buffalo Bills offense and the way Coach Brian Daboll is calling plays? I don't.
Didn't Patrick Mahomes get knocked out of the game?
He might.
Here's the listen, sir. Buffalo does not care. They want Patrick Mahomes. So any of these excuses that, hey, Patrick didn't play, no, we don't want that. The Buffalo Bills are on a mission, and this is what they want for Christmas. They want to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs so they can claim the AFC, and they want payback against Tom Brady for his days when he used to be in the New England Patriots system. They want all of that smoke, and that's why I picked Buffalo, because they can get the Christmas wish early.
Look, the one thing I will say is, Alex, I know you said, oh, the Bills can be a good running team, but they're really not. I mean, and I get what you were saying is, they don't run the ball a lot. That's what your initial statements were. Like, when they want to run the ball, they can be a force, but they don't. They're not a good running team. I looked at a lot of their games. And they run plenty. Like, I will go find a random game. Here, we'll go to, I don't know, a random week. We'll go to week 11. Sure.
Let me help you out with that statement. If you take away the Arizona game, you do realize that this team has won 13 games in a row. They lost back-to-back against Tennessee and Kansas City. Kansas City was week 6.
All right, but you say the same. You could say the same thing about Kansas City if you take away the Vegas game.
No.
Patrick Mahomes, the starter, they've only lost the one game with him.
A lot of their games were by 6 or less. They didn't blow anybody out. Buffalo has been putting people in a hurt lock. Stephon Diggs is a matchup nightmare. He led the league in receptions and reception yards. That's not by accident. Josh Allen threw for over 4,500 yards. He broke Jim Kelly's record that stood for almost 19 years. Hell, Stephon Diggs broke Eric Mold's records of receptions in a season. He had 100. Diggs obliterated that. And as far as that running game is concerned, a screen pass is a long handoff. I'll repeat. Josh Allen is completing 75% of his passes. You don't need to run the football all the time if they can't stop the pass.
All I'm saying is, if it comes to that, I'm not saying that it will. I'm making a statement that the problem with the Bills is they don't have a run game. That's all I'm getting at. I'm not disagreeing with anything else. I'm just comparing teams. Let's talk about aspects, right? Quarterbacks, we got 2 great quarterbacks on both sides. We got both. I would give the Bills the better defense, but when you talk about running games, I give that to the Chiefs. So I'm just saying Bills have a disadvantage at the run game position, which is just a reason that I'm saying if you want to change up the pace of the game, if let's say the Chiefs do step up, right? Let's say somehow they step up, and I'm not saying they will on defense. Well, just say they do, right? What do the Bills do? The run game is not great. They don't really have that. That's my worry with the Bills. That's the only thing. If the Bills had a good run game, I would say this team is Super Bowl bound, and it's conversation over. The fact that they have that I don't want to say lack of a run game because that's not fair, but the fact that their run game is not as strong as other teams, that is my concern with the Bills. It's not to say that they're a bad team or that I automatically count them out now. I'm just saying that is their issue. I think, and JB and I have kind of talked about, if the Bills add a run game here, I would say the team in the AFC this year. If they had a run game, no question, not even thought about it, best team in the AFC this season, without a question.
Gentlemen, how many times have we seen Andy Reid go to a NFC or AFC championship game and lose it? I mean, I'll bet you a dozen Dunkin' Donuts that I can count how many times Andy Reid's lost a NFC championship game against Philly. 1, 2, 3. And I think he got to 4, and he finally got to the Super Bowl, and then he lost that. So that's 4. Guys, Kansas City. I think he got there once without Mahomes. I'm not quite sure, but that one was ugly. And then he got there with Mahomes, but that was up in New England, and they got screwed. So, I mean, yeah. So
no, actually, they're the first team to host, first AFC team ever to host 3 straight AFC championships.
And they just won the championship last year. So
right, they lost to New England the year before, yes, in Kansas City.
That's 5. That's 5. So let's not think that this can't happen, gentlemen. Coach Doug McDermott changed the system in Buffalo. Buffalo used to be the laughingstock. They used to got just a touch more credibility than the Cleveland Browns. Okay, the Browns. You had somebody retire at halftime in Vontae Davis. That's how bad this Buffalo squad was. He changed the chemistry. He changed the program. Humble, stay hungry. Brian Dabble plays chess. I think I saw him in Harlem a couple of times. He wants that. All right? And Leslie Frazier. How many times am I going to mention Leslie Frazier? Used to be a coach, was a former player, excellent defensive coordinator, and he's going to be ready for Andy Reid and all those temptation trick plays that Kansas City is going to play. Bro, to be the man, You have to beat the man. Don't be shocked on Sunday.
The only thing that I'll give Kansas City and say, as far as close games, everybody always wants to come out and beat the best. Everyone's going to give you your number one shot when you're on top. So all the close games, part of it when you're the best, everyone's giving you their best because nobody wants to, everyone just gets that psychological, upstart when you play in the top team. But yes, they really haven't put anybody away, for a while. It's been pretty bad. Buffalo, I saw somebody mentioned in the chat the Jets game. Yeah, I remember the Jets game because I bet Buffalo and it cost me a parlay. So I remember that game really well. It cost me a decent amount of money. It was ugly, but they still won. And so is Kansas City. So we have, in my opinion, the two best teams going at it. I think that, of course, the NFL wants to see Kansas City win. I kind of want to see Buffalo win. I think to me, they're the team I've enjoyed watching more this year. No disrespect to Mahomes. I like Kansas City. I like Andy Reid, but Buffalo has that hunger, and you want to see them get there. John, it looks like you're dying to say something here, John.
Just so you know, the highest amount of sacks by a Buffalo Bills player this year is 5. That's it. That's the highest amount by any Buffalo Bills player. So, against a Patrick Mahomes-led team, we're going to assume that Patrick Mahomes plays because if he doesn't, then this is just a moot point. We can just assume the Bills win. So we're not going to, go will Chad Henne win the game for the Chiefs. But the Bills' highest amount of sacks of anybody is 2 guys have 5. Against Patrick Mahomes, when you can't rush the passer, you're going to get carved up. Their highest, the guy with the highest amount of picks on their team, Tre'Davious White, fantastic corner, 3. That's not very much. The highest on the Chiefs side, Tyrann Mathieu, 6. So the Bills don't pick it off that much. The Bills don't sack the quarterback that much. They give up more points per game than the Chiefs do, as I have right here. So Chiefs actually have a really good defense that nobody talks about because Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, all them guys, you focus on the offense and you forget that the defense is actually pretty good with Matthew, and Chris Jones and all those guys. So just saying, Chiefs actually have a better defense than
I wouldn't say the
Bills do.
Good.
You're going to say the Chiefs have a better
Chiefs
defense.
have a really good defense.
I think situationally, maybe the teams they played against, it makes them look better. But look, I've disagreed with
22.6 points a game isn't that bad for a defense.
I've disagreed with everybody else on the show today. I now disagree with you, John. I'm with JB
I just
and
pointed
Alex
out the stats to you.
I know.
You can't go by that.
That's not everything.
You can't go by the stats.
Stats are not everything. They're not everything. I'm not saying that they're not,
lit them up.
but they're not everything.
Vegas lit them up twice. The Chargers beat them up. Miami damn near beat them. I have no idea why you didn't mention that. If Cam Newton, before COVID, plays in that game against KC, they beat KC because New England's defense held them down. Bro, look, you're the champ. I get it. You got the belt, and you get the benefit of the doubt. But if your champ has a pinched nerve or whatever excuse you want to call it, your rookie running back that's a star gets replaced with a guy who's been washed up more times than Tide. Oh, and your defense, bend but don't break, averages 25 points given up per game against a Buffalo Bills offense that could turn it on like a light switch. Buffalo's going to have to score 40 points to get some of you guys' respect, but it's okay.
I don't disrespect Buffalo. I just want to make that note. I would love to see them go to the Super Bowl. John, because you're a Dolphins fan.
I disrespect them all day.
That's like me disrespecting the Eagles. That's like the sky being blue. No, everybody knows that.
I have nothing but hate in my heart for the Buffalo Bills. Nothing but hate in my heart.
And you got to set that aside when we talk about
it. You expect anything different, Mr. Malik?
That's exactly what I expect from John. Are you kidding me? Look,
I don't respect my divisional opponents.
If anybody watches this show consistently, there are a few things you've got to know, and all of them are around John. He's crazy.
Thank you.
He holds grudges. He believes in curses, and he absolutely has no respect for anybody in his division ever, no matter what.
I'm superstitious. And I'm very superstitious.
Listen, the fans already know. That's all I'm going to say.
Someone said you're salty, bro. Someone said you're salty.
Look, I don't get salty. You know, I just get even.
My favorite comment ever. Oh, wrong one. Where is it? Here we go. My favorite comment ever.
Every week, that guy with the Boo John comments.
What's funny is he's saying
booing
Boo John.
himself.
His name is also John. Is he saying boo to himself or boo to you?
Gentlemen, here where I believe the game is going to be decided in Arrowhead. There was only about 7,000 fans. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm thinking Buffalo. There was only about 10,000 fans in Arrowhead. So the crowd noise isn't going to be an issue for the Buffalo Bills. What will be an issue with the Kansas City Chiefs? That linebacker core. All right, now, follow the math with me. Let's say that you put Singletary out in coverage, or hell, you don't even run a running game because they can't stop the pass. Why don't we just go a set or shotgun formation? They have an excellent offensive line that hasn't allowed Josh Allen to get touched much this year. One, who got Diggs. All right, that's number one. Two, Cole Beasley in the slot. I don't see Ward covering him in the slot. That's a bad matchup for him. Three, Gabriel Davis on streaks or go routes. And then you got Kenny Stills running sluggos because you got 5 deep.
Let's not give Kenny Stills any credit, Mr. Drops, who, just disappears in games.
Has an affinity for always showing up the week that a team acquires him. He did it the week after Miami grabbed him. He did it a week after Houston grabbed him. And he's been on the roster for about 2-3 weeks now, and he didn't play against Baltimore. Spidey's senses are tingling, John. I think Kenny Stills might actually get a touchdown on Sunday.
He's not a guy you can trust. He's a former Dolphin. He's not a guy you can trust.
That's right there the problem. See what I said? There's the problem. Former Dolphin. Why
you can't trust? It means I've watched him.
Dolphins anymore. He's upset.
It means I've watched him, and I know that this guy you can't trust as far as you can throw, because as soon as you think you threw a 50-yard touchdown and he's going to catch it, he drops it. It's the guy he is.
John is just upset because he was a Dolphin. He's no longer there, and John has complained about the Dolphins' lack of weapons, so he's upset. That's what I'm gathering.
Look, I'm not upset.
You have to go back to this comment, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Listen,
look, I don't care about Kenny Stills. I'm telling you, when you need him the most is when he's not going to show up. That's the guy he is.
Listen,
careful what you wish for.
John, it doesn't matter Kenny Stills, no Kenny Stills. The rest of the receivers are out there so that they have to take away coverage from Diggs. Diggs has had a great year. He's made Minnesota look stupid for getting rid of him, because that was a huge part of their offense, having both Thielen and Diggs. And then when they added Jefferson, their offense would have been explosive, but that was a stupid move on their behalf. And Buffalo has reaped with, amazing benefits from that move. Their offense went from, is this really an offense, to, wow, they could score 50 points against Miami, because we were all talking about how great Miami's defense was. Remember that, John? We were talking about the defense.
Still great defense.
Right. And the Buffalo Bills, who you're kind of disrespecting their offense.
Always did.
Not kind of disrespecting. He is disrespecting. It's not kind of. He just is, period.
So we're going to say Miami is a great defense.
I'll be waiting when they lose.
I just want to logically put this out there.
So what's your point?
So we're going to say that Miami is a great defense, but yet Buffalo, the last week of the season when Miami had to win, put up 50 points against them, and they have no good. Their offense is no good.
I don't respect that. Look, you're talking about Diggs. You're talking about Diggs with breaking all these records. We're not going to talk about Travis Kelce breaking the record for yards in a season by a tight end. Who's going to cover him?
Tremaine Edmonds and a safety.
All right, because they covered him before. You can't cover the guy. The guy set the record for yards in a season by a tight end for a reason. Like, good luck covering that dude. Like you said, he's the lioness. He's a safety blanket. He's the guy that's going to get you those first downs that just break your back because they have a long drive. And then they go over the top with Tyreek Hill, which they just put him in all kinds of situations. And you can put Tre'Davious White on him. You can put whoever you want, but, nobody can keep up with that guy.
All I'm going to say really quickly, Travis Kelce is
White is in the top 3 when it comes to corners. I don't know if he's still going to give the plate to Stephon Gilmore because I believe Tre'Davious White is better than Stephon Gilmore. And, of course, you're going to pull Jalen Ramsey or Xavier Howard out of your butt. Okay, that's fine. You can't deny the skill set of Tre'Davious White.
Oh, no, it's
Somewhere
fantastic. Yeah.
he belongs in that top 5. And as far as Travis Kelce is concerned, he broke that record for a tight end. Did Linus remember how to play the piano when he didn't have his blanket? No. I don't believe Patrick Mahomes is going to be the same quarterback if you took away his Linus.
Oh, I just don't see you taking him away. That's my point. Like, I don't see you stopping this guy. But I guess we'll see. We've kind of sat on arguing over this for 20 minutes.
When he played the Chiefs last, he went for, I believe it was 5 receptions for 65 yards. It's not amazing and it's not terrible, but
their game plan was to run the ball in the pouring rain.
I'm just saying to say that they couldn't stop him is not accurate. If he couldn't stop him, he would have had maybe not more, he would have, let's say, 7 receptions, but he would have had something 120 yards, something stupid like that. You know what I mean?
And you guys failed to remember that the week before they were beat down by the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. Bro, that secondary was shot. The linebackers were beat up. They didn't have a running game because Moss was still on IR. And it was in the pouring rain. There were a lot of factors that went against the Buffalo Bills other than the fact that they were at home. And guess what? The game was still close. Gentlemen, let's take this into perspective. You have a team that no one gives respect to, Jon Shearer. You have people living off of accountability and street cred, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the Cheetah. You have a defense that has been very subpar this year and has won games by less than 6 points 8 times. I think Miami knows Buffalo can score points. I think Denver knows that Buffalo can score points. I'm pretty damn sure that Indianapolis and Baltimore knows that Buffalo can score points. And all 4 of those teams, I'd like to think, have a better defense than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, John, I don't know what to tell you. I can't even respond to you on this one.
I'll be right here next Tuesday saying I told you so. A week from today, I'll be saying I told you so.
Wow.
And you three are going to be, you have your hoodies up, kind of.
Hold on, John, I'm on your side. Hold on, John, I'm on your side. I'm picking the Chiefs. I am with you. I said that before, and nobody can. There's video proof I chose the Chiefs. So I'm still with you on this. However, I would like to also point out that John is a salty Miami fan, that no matter what happens, the Bills could win the next 7 Super Bowls, and he would still sit here and deny. Oh, the Bills are not good. Oh, they're bad. They don't deserve all this credit. It was bad matchups, and they got lucky.
Look at the Pats. The Pats are dead
because they lost their best player.
He deserves an award for the player hater of the year.
And to be honest with you, let's go back to the first game. If Mahomes was going to take the team and lead them through, why was it the run game that carried him through that first one against Buffalo? Why was the game plan? Why was the game plan to keep the ball out of the Bills' hands? So are they going to be able to do that?
That was the weakness of the Buffalo Bills. It was up the middle.
Do you think it was the weakness, or you think they wanted to control the ball because they were concerned about
that was the weakness?
No, I think it's the other way around. I think they're afraid of the Buffalo offense that put up 50-something points against Miami, who was a really good defense. And we're talking about the Chiefs' defense, which is okay. They've gotten better.
Back and forth on the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs all day. I'm wondering why we're not talking about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
Let's do it.
You tell us what you got. What about would you like to speak about specifically? What about it?
Oh, okay. Well, this might shock you, but I believe right now Green Bay has the advantage in this game. Let's take into account what happened week 6, another week 6 matchup. It's almost like I wrote something about this where it was like week 6 part 2. I don't know. Shameless plug. Anyway, that game was in Tampa. Aaron Rodgers got off to a hot start. He did his discount double check, pissed some people off. Devontae Adams had a mediocre game. He was good. But once you get Aaron Rodgers flustered and they started to get his cadence, they picked him off a couple of times. Now, keep in mind, Brady only threw for 166 yards in that game. Let me say that again. Brady only threw for 166 yards in that game. And I believe the final score was 38-10. So,
what a surprise. Brady gets carried his defense. Wow, what a surprise.
Now, let's fast forward to current times. There's only 7 or 8 cats on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are used to the code. There might be more, but I'm talking about offensive starters. Offensive line is offensive line. And you see how good they look without Alex Cabba and with Stinney? I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Guys, you guys haven't been able to mention Donovan Smith's name in about 7 weeks now. Is that an accident or is that a coincidence? Running game is going to be detrimental to the success of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones combined for 125 yards against the Saints Sunday. 63 and 62 yards, respectfully. What did that do? That kept Tom Brady clean. And anything that all of you guys can admit, if you can't get to Brady, he will pick you apart. Now, honestly, Tom Brady connected with 8 receivers on Sunday. And you know what he didn't do that Drew did a lot of? He didn't turn the ball. None. 0. 199 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, and 1 rushing touchdown. But he actually punched it in at the 1. So I digress. Here's my point. I like Jair Alexander. He's going to be forced to be on Mike Evans. There's not much of an equation there that's going to say differently. I like King, but I like Chris Godwin just a little bit better. Bruh, they got Antonio Brown for a reason and situations just like this. And in the nice frozen, freezing cold, that makes 9 that's used to the cold because Antonio Brown is used to it in his days up in Pittsburgh. Cameron Brate and Rob Gronkowski are bigger than any of the linebackers that the Green Bay Packers have. And as I've already mentioned in previous shows, Zadarius and Preston Smith can't cover you or me. So expect there to be a mismatch at the linebacker position. Oh, and when we get Vita Vea back to go with Ndamukong Suh and Nunez Roches and Jason Pierre-Paul, it's going to be quite difficult for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon to establish a running game. You take away the running game from the Green Bay Packers and you make Aaron Rodgers one-dimensional, that's when you start getting those picks.
I think that the Packers stomp a mud hole in them. Aaron Rodgers might get a little revenge for that stomp years ago from Ndamukong Suh. Remember, Ndamukong Suh tried to stomp on Aaron Rodgers, so maybe Aaron Rodgers will get a little bit of revenge for that. Aaron Rodgers is a petty person, so I can see him trying to get a little bit of revenge for that. He doesn't forget. He's like a Jedi. He doesn't forget. It's calculated. So
and that's going to help him on Sunday. How?
When Aaron Rodgers, sets out to destroy you, Aaron Rodgers will destroy you. He does it to every team. He's done it as Jake has said all year. He's on a mission. You say the Buffalo Bills are on a mission. Aaron Rodgers is on a mission. At his age, he's not throwing 125 yards, dink and dunk, goofy stuff like Tom Brady. No, Aaron Rodgers he's being a bad man, where Tom Brady is just like, just kind of
Jaguars by 4. Yeah,
I'm just saying, Aaron Rodgers has been a bad man all year.
To the Colts. Yeah, bad man. Beating Detroit by a touchdown. Beating the Eagles. Yeah, he's a bad man. I could beat the Eagles with 10 of my friends down the block.
They're the number 1 seed.
And who have they played? Every time they played a good team, they lost. So they're not good. So,
okay, we're gonna go that route. Remember when the Bucks lost to the Chicago Bears, the team that the Packers destroyed twice? See, I can play that game too.
The Bucks beat good teams throughout the year. You can't
play. the Carolina Panthers twice, the Atlanta Falcons twice.
We don't pick who's in the division, sir.
I'm just saying, like, you can't go that route because each week is different. But Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. He's on a mission, and he's at home. He doesn't get to play. This is the first time that Aaron Rodgers got to host an NFC championship. He's never gotten that opportunity. So,
Mr. Pierce, I'm glad you mentioned that because Aaron Rodgers is 1-4 in NFC championship games. The only one he won was against the Chicago Bears, a division rival. Now, he might have got screwed against Seattle. I give you that. But the second time he faced Seattle, they gave him a spanking. Do we need to mention San Francisco? And Atlanta was actually uglier than San Francisco. So he doesn't seem to perform when the time counts. That's probably why Miss Patrick separated from him. I digress.
Wow.
But
he is at home this time. He is in Green Bay.
Yeah, big difference. There's a gigantic difference because Green Bay is not only cold, but there's a different level of cold when you go to Green Bay than there is Pittsburgh, New York, or whatever. It's just a completely different level of cold when you go to Green Bay. So I know those guys you said Tampa Bay have played in the cold, but it's completely different when you go to Green Bay.
Green Bay, it don't make a difference.
It makes a big difference.
It's Brady time.
I believe the Atlanta Falcons play in a dome, correct? They play in the dome, and they've played in the dome. Yet I remember Michael Vick going up to Green Bay and defeating Brett Favre. I remember the New York Giants going to Green Bay and beating Green Bay in Green Bay.
Yes.
Now, last time I checked, I just mentioned the 1-4 record of Aaron Rodgers. You make it seem like it's impossible to win in Green Bay when it's in Green Bay. Now, Aaron Rodgers hasn't lost in Green Bay, I believe, since 2013. Let me give you another stat that might find interesting. Wild card teams who've made it to the NFC Championship game, they're 3-4. What's the chance Brady makes that 500?
I want to make one quick comment because you guys were talking about both, how they haven't played good teams, right? Well, neither team played really great teams this season. I just want to make that clear. Okay, the Packers this season against teams that I think we would actually consider good are the Saints and the Bucks. That's it. Most of the other teams and the Titans, and the Titans. Besides that, majority of teams they played this season were not what we would call good, right? They played the Bears, they played the Eagles, they played the Colts, 49ers, Texans. List goes on. They didn't play.
Yeah.
None of those teams are good, and I think we can all agree on that, right? Then you look at Tampa. Who do they play? Played the Saints twice, and they lost both games to them. Fine, but that's the division. But just talking about good teams, right? They played the Rams. I guess you could say they are good. They're not great, but they're still good. They made up their playoff team. Right, they're at least good. And the Chiefs. The point of what I'm getting at is to say, one team didn't play good teams. Well, neither of them did, really. When you look at and that's nobody's fault, of course. That's their schedule, and they can't help that. But I just want to, dispel, the argument. They didn't play good teams. That's a bunch of BS because neither of them did, right? I think that's a terrible argument.
Anytime you get to play two division winners, I'd have to say that that's a good team. They dismantled the Washington football team 7-9, whose defense everybody has to respect, and they just beat a team that have beat them 6 out of the last 7 meetings. Is the 4-time NFC South division champions because they haven't done anything but win the division, and they got over that hump. Who's to say they don't make it 3 for 3 and take out the NFC North champions as well? Everyone's betting against Tampa, and I love it because Tampa's playing with house money. This is a one-year team with Tom Brady, with all the changes and all the pipeline Patriot fans that have migrated to Florida. He's changed the culture. He's changed the mentality. And we haven't been to the playoffs since 2007. We're a doorstep away from making history by being the first team ever to host and play in the Super Bowl. Guys, it's not too late. Jump on the pirate ship.
Oh, hold on.
Wait, John, hang on. Wait. I got this one now. Going to Jake's comment about records. Listen, you can only play who's on your schedule. I've said
that's why I'm saying that. schedule saying who they played is a bad argument.
But you have to beat the teams that are good on your schedule to earn respect from that. Green Bay went to Indianapolis, lost. Went to Tampa, lost. They didn't beat the good teams.
Yeah, Tampa, but they also beat the Titans at home, and they beat the Saints on the road. So 2-2.
Congrats. You have 2. Congrats.
That's right, but look at okay, but you want to talk about the Bucs and the good teams they played. Okay. They lost to the Saints twice. Okay. We talked about them. They lost to the Rams at home, they lost to the Chiefs at home, and they beat Washington at home. So they beat Washington, and that's it out of their good team. So if you want to make that argument,
we can't even say Washington's a good team. I mean, 7-9, you're not a good team.
They're a team. I will willingly count them because Alex made a fair point. It's a good defense, playoff team, division winner. I'm cool with counting them. Okay, but the point of what I'm getting at is, if you want to compare it like that, the Bucs got killed against good teams because they lost to the Saints twice. Okay, they lost to the Rams. So that's 3 losses. Lost to the Chiefs, make it 4. So they go 1-4 against good teams. And I get that they played more teams, so it's a different sample size. I understand that it's a little bit different. You're comparing, 1-4 to the Packers 2-2, so it's extra teams. But the point I'm getting at, if you want to go like that, okay, the Packers were better against good teams. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat more often than the Bucs did. If you want to make that argument, I can say the Bucs against teams they were supposed to beat, like good teams that they should beat, they were worse than the Packers. But I still don't believe that's a fair argument. But if you want to use that argument, and it's so important, you can. I would say the Packers against teams they should have beaten, good teams, they were better.
And 2 points. The Packers aren't playing Taylor Heineke, and there's no Taylor Heineke, however the hell you say his name. There's none of that. This isn't noodle arm Drew Brees. This is Aaron Rodgers. His arm isn't going to fall off in this game. He's got a rocket for an arm. And he's not a statue like Drew Brees. So guess what? You're not getting out of this one by facing mediocre quarterback or a quarterback that just fell apart. So, good luck. That's what I have to say to you, Alex, when you said, what's going to happen in this one. They ain't getting out of it by facing some washed-up quarterback or some backup quarterback. They're facing Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay.
Yeah, the bad man.
He is a bad man. I have nothing but respect for Aaron Rodgers. Nothing but respect. I see that he wants solidification. He doesn't need vindication. He has that. The issue I have is every time I seem to bet against Tom Brady, he has made me look like a fool. When I celebrated the Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl victory, when they were up 28-3, he made me lose money. When I bet against him against the Rams, he didn't look pretty, but he didn't turn the ball over. And then when I thought that this experiment was going to flop in Tampa Bay's face, not only did they make me a believer, I saw how he solidified the team. Now, I don't know how old you guys are, but if you're the only quarterback to play and win in 3 different decades, and you're not about the money, you're there for the love of the sport, and to add a cherry on top of the whipped cream, on top of the cake that has been your career, because you have the best storyline of any quarterback who's ever played the game. You can talk about skill set. You will never compare accomplishments when it comes to Tom Brady. You will lose 9,000 out of 8,999. What's the chance he takes this team to Tampa, to Green Bay, and just pulls off a massive victory?
I don't know, but this is going to be – I always find this to be the most exciting week of football. I mean, the Super Bowl is all about the parties and the media week before, and half the times the Super Bowls are horrible to begin with. You're watching them for the commercials by halftime. This is the week of football we're all waiting for all year, and I think we got 2 good games. I'm excited for both of them. I don't think we could have asked for a better Sunday to watch what's going to happen, but we got to get into what's going on in the NBA, and it really all revolves around my Brooklyn Nets. They went out and they got James Harden. They look unbelievable. and Kyrie took some time off. He's on timeout. So, first of all, what do you guys think of the Harden move?
I'll start. I thought that was, you know what? We've talked about it on the show. This league is about big threes, right? Having, basically all the firepower you can have. And you know what? I love it. It's opportunistic, which is why I like it. Harden wants out of his situation. He is so clearly sick and tired of being there, right? He clearly wants a team that can possibly get him to the pinnacle
magically lost weight from when he was on the Rockets.
I was going to say.
Magically lost weight.
He wants to be on a team that's a legitimate championship contender. And you make a big three like that, and there's no question that you can at the least say they got a shot. Like
he should be representing like Nutri-Slim or like one of those like fat burning things, because he magically lost all that weight, and he really should market how to lose that much weight that fast in a healthy way. Just saying.
It's a picture. There's no proof that was actually him and it wasn't doctored. When it comes down to it, he's one of the best players in the game. And when you can add him, yes, it hurt to lose Jared Allen, but if you could put Harden with Durant and Irving, and you want to go out and win the East and play LeBron or Kawhi to win the whole thing this year, and maybe Steph next year when Clay's back, depending on who's coming out of the West, you make that move. This move, everyone says, "Oh, Houston won. They got great pieces out of it," which they did. But the Nets won if they win a championship. That's how they win the trade.
Oh yeah.
Houston won this transaction. They got draft capital for years to come. They got Harden's money off of the books. They did acquire Victor Oladipo, I believe. I mean, Houston won this transaction overall, but they needed a king's ransom to lose the services of James Harden anyway. Brown, Dick Ross. No, it wasn't Doctor. That was definitely James Hardy's. Yes, that was a big boy. But when you're motivated, you're able to do amazing things. He wasn't that much out of shape. He just, he wanted to look like the Nutty Professor because he wanted to get the hell out of Houston.
And it
now
worked.
that he's in Brooklyn and he's back with his old running mate that he played with about 9 years ago in OKC, they're a problem. Durant had 42. I believe Harden had 34 and 13. Damn, they're a triple-double. Okay, Durant plays defense. Harden doesn't need to. They did lose a lot of their defense when they lost Allen, but they still have DeAndre Jordan.
And they lost Caris LeVert.
They lost Caris LeVert. Hope he gets better. He had a kidney injury. That's why he was unable to pass a physical.
Yeah, mass on his kidney, yeah.
Bro, when Kyrie comes back and gets his head back into the game, it's going to be an offensive onslaught. It'll be like old Super Nintendo. You don't press the block button. You go full steam, because teams can't keep up with the scoring. I believe last night the Lakers were beat because they were lackadaisical against the Golden State Warriors. Who's got the firepower to deal with the Nets in the East? I don't know.
Nobody.
And nobody really looks that great in the East. Everybody's kind of like just lollygagging through the East right now. Like, there really isn't anybody that's super impressive so far.
I like Boston. I like Boston.
Boston's fundamentally sound. I think they're one player away from being that team. I don't think they're competing with the Nets right now, but for the future, if they keep that core together and get that one guy, I don't know who it would be, but they're that one guy away. I think that they could do it. John's Heat are a good team. I don't think that they have any shot against.
They don't look the same this year. They just don't look the same.
They don't have a shot.
I think also what happened last season. I think last season, honestly, I was just gonna say they caught lightning in a bottle last season. Like, that's just, it happens. And John, it's not to disrespect your team. It's just team got hot at the right time. They look great, and they kind of
also to play in the playoffs.
They look more like what they really are this year.
To play in the playoffs, and then 70 days later, you're back at it. To start a regular season. Maybe them and the Lakers are a little bit more sluggish because you just got done, going to the NBA Finals, playing through all that grueling, and then it's like, hey, a couple months later, start another season. So,
well, another team that's going through that too is Denver. They're having a huge problem right now getting, playing. They're playing sloppy. They're not winning games. So there could be something to that quick turnaround.
JB,
Yeah.
not to interrupt you on that, but what about this COVID stuff in the NBA? Because this is a hot topic right now. The NBA is really, how's the NBA going to handle what's happening with all this COVID stuff right now? The rosters are there's like 7-8 guys for these rosters right now. Basically, it's
tough.
It's
They
insane.
had to cancel a couple of games. They had meetings and they started to enforce some stricter policies, but it's a difficult situation because they're not doing the bubble, which I get because they're trying to play a full season. I know that the schedule, the second half of the year, was kind of left up in the air so they can move things around. But it's tough. They had to cancel the Philadelphia game, I believe, on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's just a tough thing when you have all these guys traveling, going out. They're all adults. They nobody wants to get sick or infect their teammates. But sometimes people do things they're not supposed to do, or just they're around the wrong people that may have the virus that are carrying it. It's not always that they went somewhere they weren't supposed to either. Over the course of a day, if you're going out because you got to get to practice and you got to go places, you're stopping places to get there. It's not that you could just go from point A to point B, whether you're a superstar or not. Yeah,
Guys, COVID is affecting the life of NBA players because it affected the life of NBA coaches. The bubble was here in Orlando, and the players were allowed to have family - friends, girlfriends, wives, if you will, with them. The coaches were not. They had a 72-day off season. That's the shortest off season in the NBA, NFL, MLB, or NHL. Now they're playing in empty arenas. You have life that has gone on and has been going on. You had a tumultuous summer that we should not and will not get into. But the NBA was standing to lose billions of dollars if they didn't get back on the court as soon as possible. That's why you had the season start days before Christmas. The guys are tired. They have a family. They have responsibilities. They're civilians. They voted. There were a lot of issues being happening. Kyrie Irving, for as crazy as he is, not only bought George Floyd's family a home, but supplied $1.5 million to WNBA players that opted out, and provided food for New York, and provided not only money, meals, but masks for the indigenous Sioux tribe in North Dakota. So, yes, they've done a lot of philanthropy off of the court, but on the court is where they're demanded at. They're tired.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I can't knock Kyrie Irving because I've heard a lot of things right now about he's potentially going through a lot of mental health stuff, and that's serious stuff. So if he's going through that, I know his team, his coaches, they all want him to come back and play, and he's going to. It sounds like he's going to, but it sounds like he's also dealing with a lot of mental health stuff, and also apparently from what I heard, he doesn't want to just be a basketball player. He wants to impact the world and help others, and and not to get into all that other stuff, but he wants to help get rid of the racism and stuff like that. So he's the type of guy that he doesn't believe that his
racism,
life.
What racism? What do you mean racism?
He doesn't believe that his life. He wants to help eliminate that stuff. He's the type of guy that doesn't believe that that his life's calling is to just be a basketball player. That his life's calling is to do more than that, to make an impact in this world, like you just said, about what he's done for all those people. And
Jake,
I commend him for that.
Jake, write down this time and date. John
He
is
should just
Kyrie Irving.
Look,
I was mental health.
Mental health is a serious thing, and if he's going through that, then then much like all the other players that come out, like I think it was Hayden Hurst of the Falcons, and talked about that. That's serious stuff, and if you're going through that, and you can talk about that and tell people about that, and people should listen, and if you need time off, seriously, then you should have that time off because mentally is.
Mr. Shearer, I may be black, but I am a Republican. One thing I'm not going to do is pay an athlete $30 or $40 million a year to miss games on my time. Now, slavery might have ended more than 150 years ago, but if I'm paying you immensely, I expect you to show up for your job. Who the
That's
hell
why
do
he's going
you
to show
think
up.
you are? Missing 5 or 6 games without letting the coach and the organization know. I would trade you to the sorriest team or take you back to Cleveland if you think you can get paid $40 million without fulfilling your obligations. It looks bad upon you, your teammates, the NBA as a whole, and you as a black male. You didn't sign up to be a role model, but you are a role model. And if you want to get paid $40 million, I expect you to make my clock.
Hence why he's coming back. Hence why he reluctantly said he was coming back. There's a lot of stuff it sounds like he's dealing with, but he's going to come back and play because he is contractually obligated.
I think my biggest problem, honestly, is just that he didn't tell his team. Like, I'm okay with everything else, and I know we just talked about mental health and all that, and I have the utmost respect, and I know that is like one of the biggest issues that not a lot of people always talk about. So, to Kyrie Irving, I mean, look, I completely understand. It is, to me, I understand that it's okay to take time to yourself, but kind of what Alex just said, just let your team, let your coaches, let people know. Like if you and myself or any of us here were going to not go to work one day, we wouldn't just not show up. We would say, hey, we are struggling with mental health issues, and I know it's hard to talk about, but we need to take a couple days off. And you tell your work, and then you do it. But you don't just leave. And that is the only problem I have with what Kyrie did, because if anybody else would do that, if you're not an athlete, if you're just about anybody else, you get fired for doing something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And while I understand that it's important, I think that's my biggest problem with what he did. He just didn't tell his team, and you can't do that. I'm cool with him taking the time off. I understand it. I respect it even. I really do. But you've got to let your team know, hey, this is where I'm going. And that's not just his responsibility as an athlete, just as as an employee of someone still. You got to tell your boss, hey, I need this. And that's my only issue with this whole scenario is he didn't say, hey, I'm going to take time off or I need some time off. He just went and did it.
Well, I mean, I definitely hear what you're saying, Jake, and I agree. You gotta be accountable. That you expect from everybody, no matter what you're doing in life. But when it comes to people that are dealing with mental problems, sometimes they don't always make the best decisions, and unfortunately, this wasn't the best decision. As far as what he needs to do to get his head straight and to be doing better for himself, that's more important than the game of basketball. Yes, it puts the Nets in a bad position. They're paying him a lot of money to play basketball games. And as a fan, we only care about the basketball game. But one thing I will say, people are people. You don't want to see someone go through any sort of mental problem, mental disorder, disease. It's not a fun situation. So I hope whatever he needs to do to get himself better, he can do, because that's way more important than the game of basketball. Now, as far as not telling his team, hopefully, that could be fixed moving forward. He's hopefully will have learned from it. He'll get whatever help he needs. The Nets, I'm sure the league have resources to help guys with different things. Kevin Love wrote that article, one of the Players Tribune a few years back about depression, and he was really the first one to come out with it. And I remember reading it, and I never liked Kevin Love before that. I always had a disrespect for him. I always felt he was soft. I read that, and I have more respect for him for doing that than probably most players in the league. And I love the guy after that, because that takes a lot to come out of a locker room, and say that there's something bothering you. That's not, locker room lingo or talk. Nobody wants to be that guy. Oh, I got a problem. Oh, I'm weak. Nobody ever wants to admit weakness in a locker room. You all want to be the alpha, the tough guy. But it's okay to sometimes be weak and to sometimes need something, because that's what your teammates are there for, to pick you up when you're down. And, the Nets, they're going to do it. That's why they went out and got Harden, to make their team better. And they're going to carry Kyrie right now until they need to. And when it comes time for the playoffs, which is a few months off, hopefully they get the help that he needs and they'll be ready to go. and he could just get himself right for the future. Because Alex said he's done a lot of great things for, the city of New York, different people, the community in North Dakota. These are things that are much more important than a game. Yes, he gives us enjoyment watching the game, and that's why we're here talking. We're not going to sit here and talk about what Kyrie Irving did with the indigenous people of North Dakota. There wouldn't be many people watching the show, but that's way more important than what we're talking about now. And a lot of these guys do a lot of things, and nobody knows what they're doing. Bill Belichick supposedly is one of the most philanthropical guys in the world, and nobody knows what he's out there doing because he's so quiet and just doesn't let anybody know. So you got to remember, these guys are people. Sometimes we're a little hard on them when we shouldn't be, and sometimes we're not. But, the most important thing is he gets himself right, and you really got to let your team know. But I think the Nets will handle it well, and I think the league has the different resources set up, especially after the whole Kevin Love thing. What do you think, John?
No, Alex looked like he had a response.
No. I
Okay.
said my piece. I actually am saying too much. I might be crazy, but I like Memphis to make the playoffs out of the West.
Oh, don't start JB on his John Moran. Oh no, here we go again.
This is like starting
John Moran.
This is like starting with John about the Dolphins or about the Heat. Like,
wow. Wait, yesterday I did say Trae Young doesn't get enough credit. Did I not? Did I compare him to Ja? So let's talk about that first. So if we're just gonna say that I love Ja, I also love Trae. They are by far two of my favorite players. Ja gets all the credit, Trae doesn't. Why doesn't Trae get the credit? That is my question.
It's hard because, like I said yesterday to you, Atlanta's not really much of a market that gets love in the NBA. Other sports, Atlanta is kind of a little bit bigger market sports wise, but basketball, Atlanta's not really a market that gets much, I guess, TV time and things like that. So
okay, so do you mean market overall as a whole in the NBA? Or do you mean city-wise? Because more people in Atlanta show up to Hawks games than Falcons games.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just as a whole in the NBA. You're not really paying attention too much to the Atlanta Hawks. If Trae Young was on the Knicks and he's playing as well as he typically does, a team that's higher prestige, it'd be all over ESPN or wherever because that's a gigantic market. But Atlanta really isn't a market, unfortunately, that gets any love in the NBA.
They shot themselves in the foot when they traded away Luka for Trae Young. Now, I would have kept Luka Doncic because Luka would have made Atlanta prime time. It would have been the spot for a lot of free agents to come. And Luka was the rookie of the year and now up for MVP. He's that important. But they decided to trade away Luka for Trae Young. So you have to blame the organization. It's not Trae Young's fault that the man
from Oklahoma not at all.
ATL, but I'll say it again. I'd have kept Luka.
I would have too.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree, but both are fantastic players.
Yeah, I mean, different responsibilities or roles, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like Trae. I mean,
I don't dislike him.
Yeah.
I just like Luka a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, Luka, unbelievable.
And he's easier to market. Luka's, for some reason, he's just easier to market. Some players are just, easy to market, and some players aren't.
So what's going on?
I didn't take it the wrong way at all. He's absolutely right. The man's not even 21 yet. He speaks 5 languages. He's a baller. He's easy on the eyes for conservative women. And, bro, he's already got the respect of NBA players. I mean, bro, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, and they're offering you insurance, it might just be a damn duck.
All right, Nick Saban, Affleck.
I'm just saying. I'd have kept Luka.
So what's going on in the MLB, John? Anything? How many days we got? Because it's starting to feel a little cold out.
Hey, look, we didn't talk about it last week, but the the Lindor trade to the Mets was gigantic. That is a huge trade, and it's a shame that the MLB really. I think they need a fix. I think they need a salary cap at some point. I know they kind of have like a luxury tax thing, kind of sort of, but teams like the Indians can't afford. I'm going to call them the Indians because that's what I've always known them by, Cleveland Indians. But the Cleveland Indians trade him away because they can't afford him because they don't have the money that other teams like the Mets do. So the Mets can afford to sign him to a long-term deal, gigantic contract, and the Indians, who wanted to keep him and he wanted to stay, but because of money-wise, much like the Rays get rid of guys because they can't afford them, they've done that forever. They had to get rid of him, and that's a shame. But the Mets, I mean, their new owner is just knocking it out of the park with all these signings and trades. And he said he's going to spend a lot of money. He wants to make that team happen. So he's sticking true to his word. He's spending a lot of money. He's making it happen so far. Aside from the GM.
It doesn't matter what the Mets do because they can't stand up to the Atlanta Braves. I mean, you look at that Mets roster. Okay, you got some switch hitting. You get some power hitting. Are you going to be able to keep Thor? Are you going to get some help from Thor? Batman was a bust. The player, not the actual person or fictional character. You don't have a rotation. I mean, you're the Mets. You're not as good as the Braves. You're now on the scale with the Marlins.
But I give Cohen credit for wanting to make it happen and not sit back.
So hold on,
dormant, but I don't see them competing.
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
One thing I think that needs to be talked about that hasn't been talked about in this trade, because obviously the headline of this trade is Lindor, and there's rightfully so. But they also, in this trade, got somebody else, which is super important to me when you look at the Mets, because their strength was pitching, and it just got stronger. The Mets also added Carlos Carrasco in that trade.
Good pitcher, yes.
And what is so incredible about this is a tweet from The Athletic the day of the trade. And I'm giving them credit for this. But I saw this. When I saw this, I went, that's a great point. The Mets may not be able to compete with other teams yet. I agree. However, when they have a fully healthy rotation, their 4 starters are nuts. DeGrom, Syndergaard, Carrasco, and Stroman. Talk about an absolute murderer's row of pitchers. Now, again, I'm not saying they're going to compete with teams yet, but that is a top 4 pitching. Those are your top 4 pitchers. I mean, please find me a better set of 4 right now. That has got to, and there may be that I'm not thinking about, but that has got to be one of the at least top 4 set of pitchers in the entire league. And I got to say, I tip my hat to Steve Cohen, because honestly, getting Lindor was amazing. But
Padres are better.
Are they though?
Every time those 4 pitchers pitch, 6 innings, 1 hit, maybe 1 run, 2 walks, 7 Ks, and then the bullpen will go 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs.
Hold on, Alex. Here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're going to compete yet. I'm not saying they're going to be a winning team. I'm just saying from their starters, they have an incredible top 4 of their rotation right now. That's all I'm saying. And I just think that needs to be talked about, because as great as getting Lindor is, and that sets up the future, that is an awesome pitching lineup. And for a guy that appreciates pitching, like I know John is with me on this. He and I both love pitching in baseball. That is so fun. I don't like the Mets. I am a huge Yankees fan, and I couldn't care about them. I don't dislike them. I just don't care about them personally because I'm a Yankees fan. So obviously my loyalty is to them. But that is the Mets have
one of the worst WAR ratios. They really don't get a lot of offensive output from their players, and when they do get it, it's an offensive explosion.
Right. But I am so hopeful that if they can just get a couple pieces for this team could be so good, because they have pitching, which is arguably the harder of the 2 things to get. I know pitching is hard. Hitting is hard, but I always feel like having the best pitchers is more crucial inevitably, and getting great starters is so hard. And they have that now. Now, of course, I understand they're not always all healthy, But when they are all healthy, I mean, I look, I'm not saying the Mets are going to start winning games all of a sudden because they are still the Mets. I mean, they're like the Browns. They have that kind of reputation that just precedes them already. But
I've never compared the Mets to the Browns. The Mets have won a championship.
Did anybody catch the recent GMs thing for the Mets? Ooh.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh man, typical Mets.
Again, they're the Mets.
It can only happen to the Mets.
No, it happens to the Detroit Lions.
No one learned from Brett Favre that you don't send picks like that? I mean, we live in a social
I guess
media.
he didn't learn.
Listen, it is what it is. But, I'm glad being from New York, being a Yankee fan, New York is a better city when both teams are good.
I agree.
Yes, the Yankees were. Listen, I was fortunate enough to go to Shea Stadium back in the day, the Subway Series. It was a dump, but I got to see my Yankees win the World Series. I got to see the Yankees win the World Series there, and there's something about when both teams in New York are good that just makes baseball that much better. When the Mets are a dumpster fire like they were, it's not enjoyable. I mean, yeah, the Yankees, we're supposed to beat them anyway. If we lose to them, it's a catastrophe. But when they're good, it makes the city that much better. It's almost like when the Knicks are good. When the Knicks are bad, the winter in New York's horrible. I'm not even a Knicks fan. It's just the way it is in New York. Sports is such an ingrained part of our life.
I got one more thing I want to just quickly add because we mentioned the Yankees really quickly, and I don't want to drag on any of this. I don't want to, shows run long, but I just want to say because I'm a Yankees fan and JB's a Yankees fan, you got to be ecstatic for the Yankees if you're a fan right now. Re-sign DJ LeMahieu. Now, what I'm going to say about this contract,
great job by the Yankees.
It's a great contract.
Great signing.
Only thing, $6 million. Only bad news about it. The end of the contract's going to bite us in the butt, and I know they know that. There's no question. He's going to be, I believe, 38 or 39 by the time his contract expires. I believe it's 38. So they know it's going to be tail end. They're paying for him, whatever. Great signing. Good for the Yankees. And more importantly, again, I just talked about pitching. Pending a physical as of last week, I believe, and I'm fairly certain all is cleared. The Yankees also signed former Cy Young winner Corey Kluber. And that's especially important with knowing that the fact that most likely Masahiro Tanaka, one of the Yankees' top starters, is potentially going to move to Japan and go pitch there again. Good fill-in for the Yankees because they're going to lose a top pitcher. You might as well replace him with a former Cy Young winner in Corey Kluber. Good for them.
Isn't he washed up?
I wouldn't call him washed up. Is he as great as what he was? No. But they're not looking for the ace right now. They're looking for another good starter, a guy that they can put in the lineup. And I would happily put Kluber in there because the truth is, I think he's more consistent than Tanaka. I think he's going to be a better pitcher than Tanaka, and he is a better pitcher than Tanaka ever was. And it's not a knock on Tanaka. It's just Tanaka he has up and downs. I'm a Yankees fan, and I know this. He has a lot of ups and downs. He goes on streaks of incredible, winning streaks where he looks amazing, and then there's also streaks where he looks absolute garbage. The only thing is Corey Kluber is a little more consistent to me, and that's why I was excited about that signing, is because I feel like the Yankees, they may not be getting necessarily at his highest as great as Tanaka was. However, they're getting a more consistent pitcher, which is one of the things they desperately needed.
And one thing with that, look at a guy like Yu Darvish, another great pitcher. He was off for a couple of years, wasn't pitching well. Last year had a great year. So once you have the stuff, you never know what they're going to come back. So just before we wrap up, let's go around and do the predictions for this weekend. Alex, you want to lead us off?
I'd love to. Upset specials in the making. Everybody wants the damn Super Bowl one with the Kansas City Chiefs versus Green Bay Packers. Not I. I have Buffalo going into Arrowhead and beating KC. I said 31-20 on another program. I'll be nice. 34-24. Buffalo Bills over KC. Tampa Bay, Green Bay. Shock the world. Tampa, 37. Green Bay, 30.
All right.
Well, Chiefs over the Bills. I think it's going to be 27-17 Chiefs. It's gonna be a lower score than we actually anticipate. And then the Packers over the Bucks. That'll probably be 38-31 Packers. It'll be a high scoring game, but the Packers will come out on top.
I'm sticking with the Chiefs pick, like I said before. I think it's going to be, obviously, this is assuming Patrick Mahomes plays, because, like we said, if he doesn't play, then it doesn't matter. I think it's going to be a close game. I'm thinking like 20-17. Both defenses are good, and the Bills' defense especially is great. I think it's going to be a very close game, especially with Patrick Mahomes at the least not being 100%. As for the Packers, Tom Brady is not what he used to be, and he's not bad, but he's not what he used to be, and we all know that. And against Aaron Rodgers, who's playing out of his mind, I still expect it to be I don't expect a blowout, but I still expect a decisive victory, I guess you could say, for the Packers. I'm going to go with, I think, 27-17. JB?
So I think Tampa is going to Green Bay. Tampa is going to the Super Bowl, the first team ever to play in their home stadium. Tom Brady missed the January. Listen, what more can I say? It's done. Now, Kansas City, Buffalo, I want Buffalo to win. I really do. I'm pulling for Buffalo. They're an exciting team, but I think Kansas City is going to pull out a really close game, and that's what I think they're going to win, 33-30, somewhere, late time. Mahomes just being the team that's been there before. This is going to be Buffalo's year to learn, and next year they're going to be hosting the AFC Championship game, and you could put that in the book now. But this has been Journey with the Jays. I know we ran a little long tonight. Definitely follow us next week, Tuesday, 8:30. Want to give a big thanks to AMG Music for the music. And just real quick, Jake, where can people find you?
Just find me on Twitter at Jake_Malik. That's usually where all my, anything I have is going to be there. John?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, BlueHawks13. And then you can go online and search Day One Sports Blog. That's the blog that I created, not only to write about sports, but also to kind of encourage you if you're struggling with mental health, that tomorrow can be a fresh start for you, and things can get better. So that's where you can find me.
Alex Fleming, no vowels, Twitter, Fantasy and Flavors, Facebook, Journey with the Jays, Sports Arena, the last NFL carousel coming this Sunday, Orlando Magic Perspective, Raptor Report, Jacksonville Jaguars beat writer. I suck at what I do. I know. Someone please help me.
Alex tries to sleep sometimes, but doesn't really have much time to do it. JB Ellis, JB_ the program on Twitter. Listen to the program. Maybe listen to the podcast on the NFL Carousel. Cover the Chargers next year. What would I cover them? They're going to be in the playoffs. Just wait to see that. And that's it, guys. It was a pleasure coming out to you guys this week. We'll see you next week. Got Kansas City against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl in Tampa.